I don't think this is an each-way betting race, personally.
Why not? Why an each-way?
Well, because I think Corto Star is much maligned. For some reason, Corto Star is not a public horse. He makes the news at Christmas every year because no one else has got anything to do Boxing Day. But he's not a public horse. If Denman hadn't been in the Gold Cup last year, Corto would be coming into this with 2 Gold Cups, 1 million King Georges, as the couch says, Tingle Creek's coming out of every orifice. He'd be one of the greatest chasers of all time. So how can Corto, provided he gets round, and that's the same for them, how can he be out the first 3? So there's one of your places gone straight away.
Denman's going to be pulled up.
Well, no, Neptune Collonges, for me, has to be in the first 3. Now, I wouldn't back him because I don't fancy him to win, and 6-1 doesn't really interest me each way. But so that's 2 of the places gone straight away. So then you're betting on whether Denman returns or not. So for me, people, I mean, you'll get lots of tipsters because they'll have to take on the favourites because it's politically incorrect to go with the favourite in this type of race. But you're basically, if you're backing each way, you're going for one place. And for me, that is not an each-way betting.
So you think
medium.
the favourite's a good thing?
No, I don't. I'm a Denman man. I'm going to stay with the champ for a few reasons. Firstly, I don't believe any of this nonsense about his heart was broken in the Gold Cup last year. I mean, if I said to everyone in this room, quickly, off the top of their head, name 5 horses whose hearts have been broken and they've never run the same in their lives, you'd start, oh yeah, 1, and you might get 2, and then you'd start. Horses very rarely have their hearts broken in top horses. Whereas if you said, well, hold on, what about, I mean, Brave Inca, he can do it every time. Hardy Eustace can do it every time. Dino's Beano could do it every time. Loch Derg can do it every time. You know, you can reel out lots of horses who can have hard races and come back. So I'm not having this Denman's heart was broken. Denman clearly did have a problem. If I've tried to put myself in Paul Nicholls' position here, and I've just said to myself, I'd be shit scared to train this horse hard before it runs, because I'd be so scared it's going to collapse and die on the gallops or something like that. I'm training the best horse in the country. Everyone loves Denman. He's the reigning hero. The last thing I want is the news in the Racing Post front page that Denman's collapsed on the gallop after a serious workout. So I'm going purely on the basis that it was totally undertrained at Kempton. And for that reason, I think you could slightly argue it wasn't quite so bad, because if it was awful, he'd have been pulled up. And he wasn't pulled up. He kept running. He kept going to the line. Yes, it was slower, 3 stones slower, according to Kieran.
I don't know about 3 stones.
Well, on ratings, it was 3 stones slower. But if the horse was totally unfit, which is what I'm going on, then I don't think it was quite the disgrace. And I think when you look at the makeup of the runners in this race, I think Madison will try and go off somewhere near the front, but I think Denman will do exactly what he did to Neptune. And the middle part of the Kempton race, the old Denman was there. He wasn't there for very long. For about 4 or 5 furlongs, he was there. And I think if Sam bangs him out the boxes again, he gets into the front, he gets in jumping in front, which is what he likes. He is the tank because he likes to boss all the others. And I think he can come back. I think with Denman, you're in 2 camps. You either pulled up or win. I don't think anyone thinks Denman will be 2nd and 3rd beaten on the run-in or something. I think he'll be one or the other.
And also, Matt, I'm not being funny. I know Harry ever so well, you know, since we was at the dog game and that. But if he had any suspicion that the horse was gone, there's no way he would run it. Because he don't want to be showed up. He just said there, didn't he? The horse is back. What do you think, Mark?
Well, in all the years I've been sort of racing, 25 years, I've never known an horse run so badly like Denman did, and I agree with Kieran about Freestone. You've only got a good look at Madison de Burle. As I said, he beat him 20 lengths in that previous year's NSC, giving him £20. So I just don't think he can get it back that quick. And if not, it's all Paul has been saying all the time was, you know, I'm running out of time with them, I'm running out of time. I just don't think Paul can get enough work and to get it back 100% what he was last year, which he needs to be. I mean, let's get right, he only won the Gold Cup, 6 lengths last year. He didn't win it 20 lengths or like a masterminded. So they've not got that much to find with him. I backed an horse called Not Prepare in the race. I've been told it's a non-runner today.
Non-runner.
Non-runner.
So that's fucking one of my bets down there.
Non-runner, no bet.
Non-runner, no bet 2 months ago, yeah. As if my Eagles on a lapping lane, you know. I think Albertus Run is like the best each way bet in the race because of the good ground that it won at Cheltenham last year. I can't have it beaten Cato, so I don't see how Andrew can possibly think it'll turn a form round from Kempton on Boxing Day when Cato sort of slaughtered it. I do think he's likely to frame and probably maybe chase home Cato in a battle, but remember the Gold Cup 2 years ago, Ruby just sat there, basically rode it up and on trial for two circuits, and he suddenly moved up, and in a matter of strides, literally 3 or 4 strides, he quickened away and left them for dead. And he just went away, and again, he's got that pace. He showed it in King George, and then he won at Tingle Creek. He's just much better than these, and Ruby said last year he was beat after 2 fences, which I think was about a fair assumption of it. And this year Paul got him right. Just heard Harry Lay say he was right. Spoke to a friend of mine who was down at Ditchit last week when Masterminded and Cato and Denman worked together, and Cato was upsized Masterminded. He really did work and sparkle. And I think the fact he hasn't run at Ascot this year, he's gone straight there after Kempton is a big difference, and I think he's a class horse and he'll win.
Just ask Kieran, in the Gold Cup last year, Kieran, when Cato Star ran, how far below his best form was he, or maybe he wasn't? Or how was he rated last year?
Yeah, certainly we took the view, which I suppose is quite a controversial view, which people in here won't agree with. We definitely thought he wasn't at his best, that he didn't jump with the alacrity that he can do, that he just never travelled the way that Corto Star can do. He'd be about £12 below what he is capable of. And it's not a one-off. That's the thing with Corto Star. He's run to figures in the 180s 5 or 6 times ever since he was scintillating in that first Old Roan off a severe handicap mark, and he absolutely bolted up. His 3 King George successes are all at a similar level. None of the others have pretensions of being anywhere near that good. It's whether he can reproduce that around Cheltenham. Last year he didn't. The year before he did. I personally, I'd price him up around about 11 to 8. I don't think there's much fat in there, but I agree with Matt. I don't think there's much mileage in the race. Again, I think it's not that dissimilar to the Champion Hurdle. I think the prices are about right at this stage.
I think it's exactly the same race as last year. I think either Corto Star or Denman. I think you've got to be in one camp or the other. Obviously, the difference this year is you don't know whether the Denman that was hacking up in the Hennessy is going to reappear. But for me, it's a 2-horse race. One or the other will win. If Denman's back, he'll win. If he's not, Corto Star will win.
Surely if Denman was back to his best, though, Matt, Harry and all the boys would be lumping on. Why is he drifting like a barge? Ladbrokes is 7-1, great big sign-up, coming back it with us.
I'm not sure how much Nichols and Harry would speak about that kind of thing.
Well, I know Harry would back it. I was with him last year before the Gold Cup in his box up and the lager with him.
But last year he was shorter, wasn't he, Mark? He weren't a 7-1 chance.
Denman wasn't fancied for the Gold Cup last year because he'd worked well. He was fancied because he'd hacked up in every race he'd been in, and he looked like
Matt, he hadn't run fucking terrible at Kempton, beaten by Cartles.
I know, but you're saying why hasn't Harry backed it? Well, we know why Harry's not backing it because it's not working well or badly. He's backing it for exactly your reason, that it's run bad at Kempton. But just because it's working well since, Harry's not going to back it.
I've been told it hasn't been working well since. I've been told exactly the opposite.
Well, that's not what Harry said. I mean, Harry rang up Monday morning.
What is Harry going to say? He ain't going to come in.
Mark, no way. There's no way would he run that horse if he thought there was any doubt or anything in it. Even what he said about the gallop on Monday, I guarantee that gallop on Monday, he's come on it tonight. He wouldn't mug himself on it. Mug himself off on it. You know that. And
I remember like Iskiback running in the Champion Hurdle, and I had terrible rumours. I was around the paddock and he was walking around like Douglas Bader. And I said to a friend of mine, this horse ain't going to go any further than the first, and he didn't. It didn't go any further than the first. The fact that this horse is drifting like a barge, it's got to be a worry to everybody. Paul Nichols hasn't come out and sort of, as he just said there, Harry's virgin tender that Paul thinks Cato's a good thing. He just told us it.
Harry's a punter, but I think when it comes to Denman, I don't think his usual way of punting comes into this. It wouldn't worry. I think Harry is so in love with this horse that punting goes out the door with it. And I know Couch will say, well, a 7-1 winner, Harry's not going to let that go. But with this horse, no one knows how it's going to run. Nichols doesn't. No one knows. And that's why I don't think Harry will back it. He's got no idea either. All we're saying is, if he does come back to last year's form and Harry doesn't know, Nichols doesn't know, then he'll win.
Well, you've been going on all night about, this, that and that. Name me an horse who has performed so badly in the trials, come out and won a Gold Cup or a Champion Hurdle in the last 20 years.
I can't.
Cool Dawn, that was an awful goal. Yeah, the short heads and all that, wasn't it? Yeah, but, that Denman, this ain't the Denman we see. If anyone here thinks that's the Denman we see last year at Kempton, it just wasn't, was it?
But Cal, no one's saying he is, which is why he's 7. That's why he's 7-1 in the betting. The fact of the matter is, though, I mean, Harry rang Monday morning, 8 o'clock. He said, I've got to come on at the races today because everyone's talking about the extra preview where I've said Denman might not run. He said yesterday morning he was 10s on, he wouldn't run. He said this morning he's 20s on, he will. He's worked well all weekend. Sam's been down schooling him. The spark's back.